Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Rose's Randoms, and today I am going to be reviewing chapters 10 through 20-ish or 19 of The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And so let's get right on into it. So the day that Kit moves in, she's tending to Lenora. And Kit asks her if she really did it, if she really committed the murders. To which Lenora gestures to the typewriter and Kit brings the typewriter to her. Lenora actually tells Kit that she wants to tell her everything. However, she gives her the option of whether she wants her to tell her or whether she just wants to remain in the dark about it. So Kit goes to bed to think about, okay, do I really want to know everything or do I not, Now, when Kit goes back to the room that she's supposed to be staying in, it was the previous room. Well, it was the room that the previous caretaker, Mary, was actually staying in. And she finds a ton of Mary's stuff in the room, like all her clothes, books, even her uniform that she's supposed to wear around the house. She finds that as well. And so if you remember, it said that Mary actually left abruptly, but even if somebody leaves abruptly, they would take something with them. And it's a little bit strange to Kit and to me as well that Mary ain't take none of her stuff. That's a little weird. So there must have been something else other than a family emergency, like Jesse assumed, that must have made Mary have to pack up and leave. Because even for a family emergency, you just maybe dump a bunch of stuff in a suitcase or something. So yeah, that's not making too much sense so far. So we then transition to the letter that Lenora is typing on her typewriter because, the book goes from present day, it's still present day, but it goes from the occurrences in the what's going on to Lenora typing out what happened in the past. So in this letter, we discovered that Lenora actually has found her father cheating on her mother, and he is cheating with the servants in the house. He kind of acts like this is not a big deal because, Lenora witnesses this and he realizes that Lenora has witnessed this. And so when he's done and he comes out of the room, he comes and he wipes her tears away. And, he's pretty much telling her, me and your mother's relationship is complicated, blah, 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 excuses. And, what's interesting about this is that the place that Winston, Lenora's father, was actually found murdered in was the billiard room that he was found cheating in. And so I kind of feel like there's some sort of significance there, maybe. I thought that was very interesting. So chapter 11 is pretty short. So Kit actually sleeps in the room that's adjoining with her and Lenora's room. So obviously she's a caretaker, so she can get to her easily. And while she's in bed, she hears creaking floorboards. When she opens the door, she sees that Lenora is actually laying down in bed exactly how she left her before. But she's sure that she heard those creaking floorboards, right? So when Kit goes to bed, she actually has a dream about her mother. And in the dream, her mother is saying to her, please, Kit, please, I'll only take one. And I'm assuming this is referring to the fentanyl that Kit presumably accidentally left by her mother's bed. And so I believe that, this is probably insinuating that Kit's mom really did overdose on purpose and Kit really did accidentally leave this pill bottle there, and her mother took advantage of that and decided to kill herself. So we meet Archie, the cook, in the morning the next day, and this is where we actually figure out that Archie has been working at the mansion at Hope's End for 60 years, and he's been there since 1929 when the murders occurred. However, he does state that he was not present in the house when the murders did occur, and he says that none of the employees were actually present when the murders occurred. He says that everyone was let off of work, which is just like, find it strange, you know, somebody had to have planned this. And for what reason was everybody not at work that night? He also mentions that Miss Baker had actually left the Hope's employ earlier that day. So like she had stopped working there earlier that day, the day of the murders. However, Miss Baker had told Kit earlier on that she actually left Hope's End after the murders. And Kit does take note of this because that's strange. Why would you lie about something like that? That seems so minute. And so as she's taking Lenora's breakfast up to her, she meets upon Miss Baker, who she asks, oh, were you in Miss Lenora's room last night? Because I heard the floorboards creaking. And to which Miss Baker is like, oh, you must have been imagining it. She's very condescending. And, you know, she's on my suspect list for sure, because why are you lying about stuff when it's unnecessary? Also, we end this chapter with Kit making the decision that she does want Lenora to tell her everything about what happened that night. So in chapter 13, Lenora is pretty much typing all day until dinner time. She's doing a lot, right? So I'm figuring we're gonna get a lot of information. And we find out two important things. One is that she threw the murder weapon, the knife that killed her mother and her father, into the ocean, and her gown was also covered in blood. And that's part of what Lenora types out in this letter. This is what we find out. And so Kit comes to the realization that Lenora was probably covering for someone, but who was she covering for? And so she does come to the conclusion that Lenora is not necessarily trying to clear her name, but she is actually just confessing to the murders. So while I do believe that it is kind of a confession, I also feel like maybe I'm hoping she didn't do this alone, that she did cover for someone, because I feel like it would be so like uninteresting if she actually did do this alone. So right now I'm thinking maybe Peter the painter, who she really liked. Like, I just can't believe that she did this on her own, you know? So after she finishes reading this portion of the letter that Lenora types out, you know, she goes to her room, but then she hears like a clatter on the terrace outside. And she goes to investigate this. She goes outside, she goes to investigate this. And, you know, she sees like the shingles like had clattered on the floor, and she has fallen on the floor. But then when she looks up to Lenora's room, she sees a shadowy figure pass by the curtain. And so now she's thinking somebody is in Lenora's room, and those creaking floorboards was actually someone, because Kit does not believe in ghosts. And I do not think there are ghosts in this book. I think there is actually somebody doing something. So she starts running to the house to, you know, back in to try and figure this out. But as she's running, she trips, and the groundskeeper, Carter, actually sees her and then like invites her in to his house to speak to her. And so he tells her that he was actually a bartender prior to becoming a groundskeeper at Hope's End, and the previous groundskeeper actually asked him if the previous groundskeeper's name is Arthur, and he actually asked Carter if he would be interested in doing the groundskeeping for the Hope Mansion. So Carter obviously believes that Lenora is not guilty, and when asked why, Carter is like, well, all of the servants had left except for the groundskeeper at the time, whose name was Ricardo Mayhew. And apparently Ricardo was working that night. However, he was never interviewed by police, because by the time they looked to interview him, he was up and out of there. He was gone that same night, never to be seen again. And he was married to a woman named Bernice, who was a servant in the house, but she's still around and she has no idea what happened to him either. So as of right now, we don't have a motive as to why Ricardo may have done anything, but I'm assuming we're bringing up this name for a reason, and I'm hoping we'll get some type of motive soon, because otherwise I kind of hate when books bring up a name and then like they're like just a throwaway person. So after finding this out, Kit goes to Lenora's room and she tells him, like, she wakes her up and she's like, you got to tell me about Ricardo Mayhew. So this is where Lenora is typing, and we find out how she met Ricardo Mayhew. She knew that the servants found him handsome, and, you know, she was like out on the balcony in her room, which is the same room that she's in now. And, you know, she was standing up on the railing, like thinking about life, almost looked like she's about to jump. And then he comes up behind her and he says something to her, and she turns around and she's like, oh my gosh, she's entranced with this man because she finds him handsome. And we don't actually know how much older Ricardo was than her. We know that she's probably like a teenager or something. I am not entirely sure, but it does seem like he was older than her. He's married, remember. And she says that this is the first time that she fell in love with him. And, you know, he introduces himself to her as Ricky. And I don't know about y'all, but now Ricardo is seeming a little bit sus to me. Honestly, every character in this book is a little bit sus to me. But, like, he's now extra sus now. He's the new character to be sus. So what I'm thinking at this point is that Ricardo, like, Lenora confided in Ricardo for something. And then, you know, he was like, I'm going to help you, like, get rid of these people who are making your life a living hell. That's what I think, at least, as of right now. So in chapter 15, Lenora is typing for 2 hours telling Kit about Ricky. And all while she's doing this, Kit is standing by her and she's checking the corners of the room, thinking like, oh, all the places that the light doesn't hit, because she probably thinking maybe somebody is there, because I definitely heard that creaking on the floor and that shadow in the window, like there's somebody here. It's here that Lenora does officially reveal that she was in love with Ricardo. And Kit now does assume that the reason that she did not tell police about that night is because she was protecting someone, most likely Ricardo Mayhew. Honestly, I might split this video up into 2 parts because it's going to be super long. So it might be 10 through 15 and then 15 through 20, but I'll make sure I post them separately. I mean, right after each other, rather. But yeah, okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and a little bit of my theories and my take on what's going on here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's really gonna help me on the channel. But yeah, bye.